Welcome back to Skill Up with Stan channel. In this Automation with Stan series, we are going to discuss about Amazon Web Services automation. So in Amazon Web Services, we know we extensively use Amazon AWS EC2 instances. Those are all the virtual machines that we run on the EC2 platform. And as you know, not all the virtual machines or the EC2 instances are used for production. So some of them might be used for development, some of them might be used for testing, some of them might be just needed when we run a batch job or when we run a kind of activity. Only that time we might need certain instances. So in order to save cost, especially when we are running these virtual machines on the public cloud platform, so they are actually paid when we are using it, or we are following the pay as you go model or pay as per use model. Right? So when we don't need those instances, we can stop those instances and we can save a lot of cost. So coming from a cost optimization perspective, so we would like to understand how we can automate this process. So when we need the server, we can power it on, and when we don't need them during the evening hours or during the weekend, we can keep them switched off automatically. So we don't have to really manually do all these things. So in order to make it automated, so when we say automation, the first programming language that comes to our mind is Python these days, right? And especially when it comes to scripting, Python is a more popular language compared to the other language because of the easy to understand language. So there is a detailed session that I have got for Python. If you're interested, you can go and search for the playlist and learn Python. But for here, to automate AWS related activities, so I'm going to also introduce this Boto 3 module. I'll also show you how to install Python from the scratch. We'll also see how to install Boto 3, and we'll also see how to install the Visual Studio Code. If you already have any development kit, either it is AWS Cloud Development Kit CDK, or if you have any other third-party software development kit like Eclipse, you can reuse them or you can leverage them. So it's not that you have to definitely install Visual Studio Code, but Visual Studio Code is widely used. It is very popular. It is a tool from Microsoft, and it can also be installed in Linux these days. So all these tools, whichever we are talking about, especially Python is a platform agnostic tool. You can install it on Linux, Windows, and Unix, as well as Mac and other operating systems. So let's see how to do all these step-by-step instruction. I'll also show you how to create a Python script. So for doing start and stop, you don't have to write pages of script. You just need to write 3 lines of code, or even you don't have to write it. You can just copy paste from the Boto 3 documentation that is available on the internet. I'll show you how to go and search and copy paste it here. You just need to know how to use this script. Okay, so that is more than sufficient. I'll also show you how to install the AWS CLI and how to connect it to the AWS Management Console and do all this automation. It is pretty straightforward. It will take only 5 to 10 minutes to get this done. So follow along and I'll show you how to get it done. So let's look at the EC2 portal here. So I've got a couple of EC2 instances created. So a couple of them are kept stopped to avoid cost. Okay, so I'll show you how to start them automatically and then how to stop them as well. Okay, we'll also see both of them. So from the AWS side, in order to do this using programmatic way, or whenever you want to manage the AWS platform from a programmatic approach, the very important thing that you need to do is go and create the access key for the user that you are going to use. So here I'm going to use a particular user with name Stan, and for this user I've created an access key here. You can just click on this option, create access key, and it will generate a access key like this, and it will also create a secret access key. So since it is credential, I'm not sharing that details here. I'll show you how to use them. So once after you have created the credential, I'll show you where to use it, where to configure it. So on the system wise, okay, there are multiple methods you can automate. Either you can automate using serverless concept like, for example, you can use Lambda function to automate these things, or you can use any specific servers to use it. You can also, I think, mostly the easiest way is to leverage the existing system that we have got, and like your Linux jump server or your Windows Bastion system, you can leverage them instead of creating a separate system for this. You can do all this automated activities from your existing systems. Okay, there are other methods like you can also use some of the inbuilt option from the public cloud provider. Here it is AWS. We have a concept called instance scheduler. Using that, you can schedule the start and stop of the instances. I'll also show you the demo. So I'm going to show you 3 different methods. In this particular session, I'm going to show you the method that where we use Python and Boto3 to stop and start the EC2 instance. Okay, in order to do this, as I told you, we have to install few tools. We have to go and download the latest version of Python. So it need not be always latest version. You can also have version 3.7. So version 3.7 was predominantly used last year, but then now people have started using the latest version. And in order to use Boto 3, you should have at least version 3.7. 3.6 is no more supported for Boto 3. So you can download the latest version and then you can get them installed. So installation is pretty straightforward. You can just go to the downloads and then get the downloaded content installed. So you have to kind of install this Python installation package where it can be used for installing other Python modules and libraries. So Python installation, Python installer package is very important. You have to enable this option and get this installed. Okay, you can also enable adding the Python to the environment variable so that you can run the Python command from any location in the command prompt or PowerShell prompt. Otherwise, you have to go to this installed path and get the command executed. So I'll just go with the default path for now, but in sometimes you might have to use the D drive if in case you have a practice of not using the C drive for any package installation, additional package installation. So next thing is to go and look at the document, especially the Boto 3 document. I'll show you. So this is the documentation, boto3.amazonaws.com. And within that, you can go and search for different services. And here you can see the complete list of all the services. And within that, you have to go and look out for EC2. And within EC2, what we are trying to do now, we are going to do stop and start. So you can just go to the client, and then within that, you can go and look out for stop instances. So if I go to the client here, you can get this list. And here, this is the 2 lines that we need for writing the script. Or if you scroll down, you will get a complete example also. So here at the bottom, see here you got the complete script for stopping the specified instances. So you can use the comma separated value here to add as many instances as you want. So I'll copy this. I can also add the comment here to print the response. Okay, let me just put it here. Okay, now let me go here, and then we'll also install the Visual Studio Code. So once after you download it, you can install it. If you want to install it for all the users, you can select all the users, or if you want to specifically install for one of the user, you can do it. Okay, perfect. So I've downloaded it multiple times. I don't want it. I'll delete one of them. Okay, also you can install the AWS command line interface to connect to AWS Management Console using the command line. So once after you download the 64-bit installer, you can also install them here. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so here I've logged in now. You can see that you've got extension where you can go and add whatever AWS toolkit, or if you want to add Boto 3 toolkit, you can get them added, get them installed. See, once after you install it, see if you go to the left, you can see that AWS has got an option. Now you can go and connect to AWS using the access key and the secret access key. Here you can configure the IAM credential. The best method is to go and configure the access key and secret access key, not the username and password, because username and password, you need to rotate the keys very often, or rotate the password very often. So just press Control Shift and P. You will get an option like this where you can go and type AWS, and within that you need to configure the credential. So you can just type configure or create credential profile. So if you just click on this, it will ask for the access key ID. And once after you enter the access key, it will ask for the secret access key. See, that is how you connect to AWS from your Visual Studio Code. And from the command prompt, okay, I'll show you how to do that. So we just go and install this AWS command line interface. Okay, so once after you install it, you can just go to the command prompt, and you have to do a couple of things. One is you have to go and install the Boto 3 using the pip command, Python installer package. So now it is already installed, so it is good. And let's also wait for the AWS CLI to complete. So once after this is completed, you can go and configure the AWS connectivity using AWS configure command. So if you just type AWS configure, it will ask for the secret access key along with the access key ID, and we are good to go. So let's close this. So I think it will take some time to reflect. Else you can go and add the environment variable. So it'll ask for the access key ID, and then once after you enter the access key ID, you can also enter the secret access key. So just for the safer side, I'm not going to show you that. So here you can go and add the secret access key, and if you are going to create the resources in East US, you can add the East US region, and you can configure the access key ID and the secret access key. So once you're done with all these things, now you need to go and get the instance ID detail, which you need to stop and start. So it is pretty straightforward. The code is very small in see, it is very, very simple. So you've got the very first line, it says import Boto 3, first line, and then we are going to use the Boto 3 to connect to EC2. And with EC2, we are going to do what? Stop instances. And which are the instances we are going to stop? If you want to just stop only one instance, you can just remove this and just give only one. Or if you want to do multiple instances, you can add them with a comma in between. So it is pretty straightforward. So I'll currently the instances are stopped. I'll show you how to start the instances here. Okay, let me go and save this first. And then let me run this file. Now we'll get an output whether the instances are getting started, and you can see the current status, the previous status stopped, and the system is getting started now. So let's go and refresh the console here to see if that is what is happening. Perfect. So you can see the systems are in pending state, and it should get into started state very soon. Okay, now I'll just change the code to stop the instance. Okay, and you can just save this. Okay, let me run this once the instances are started. Okay, now the instances are running. I can just go and execute the stop command, start the Python script, and you can see that earlier the instances were running. Now it has issued the stop command. So how do we automate this? So if you are using Linux servers, you will use the cron job to automate it. If you are using Windows, you will go and use the task scheduler to schedule the task. Right here, it is very, very straightforward. You'll go and create a task, and you will mention like to stop the instance or to start the instance. And here you will add what time you have to trigger it. daily some specific 8 p.m. or whatever, you can just add that, and then you can go and add which script file to execute. You can select the Python file, and once you save it, automatically on daily basis at 8 o'clock the server will get stopped. You can create one more task for starting the instance. So you can create two different Python files, one to stop the instance at a particular time at around 8 o'clock in the evening, and the next day morning 8 o'clock you can start the instance. So it is very straightforward. I'll also show you a couple of more methods. If I refresh, I should see the status is stopped. Perfect. And how do we confirm that these start and stop has happened from the Python script that we developed? Just copy one of the instance ID here. Go to CloudTrail. CloudTrail is the tool or the product that helps us to track all the user activity as well as the activity that we do from the application programming interface. So here we have used a tool, a Visual Studio Code tool, to programmatically connect and do these things. So I'll open this CloudTrail logging tool, and within the logging tool, I can just go to the event history here. And if I want to specifically look at a specific instance, I can just say resource name, and I can paste that instance ID to find out whether we have stopped and started the instance. See, now the stop instance has been done by user Stan, and the event name says stop instance, from which IP this was done, and what was the access key that was used. And if you scroll down, you'll also see what kind of agent, what kind of version of tools that was used. Python version, Boto 3 version, which ID, and how was this done? Was it done from the API, or was it done using the console? All the information are captured in a very detailed way. So you can go and confirm like this whether the activity was successful or whether there was any errors reported. Okay, this is the first method. We'll see the other two methods shortly. Thank you.